We live in this world that's obsessed with productivity, that we're stuck in the grind, that we're constantly striving and achieving and doing. And somewhere along the way, in this rush to always be moving towards some goal, we've started to treat things like sadness as some sort of glitch in the system, like it's a problem that needs to be fixed or a disease that we need to medicate ourselves out of. And there's a reason why antidepressant use has spiked in the past few years. And it's not just the one reason that we all can automatically assume is the cause. No, this is a part of like a bigger picture thing. And I'm not saying that antidepressant use is a bad thing. Like some people definitely do need it, and it is definitely life saving in certain circumstances. And this is not me shaming the use of medications, but it is a data point that we need to consider. There is a massive spike in how many people are on antidepressants within the past few years. It's part of a bigger picture that we really do seem to be struggling more than ever in the past. Despite having more tools than ever, having more knowledge than ever, being more connected with everyone else than ever, supposedly. It's because we aren't really connecting with ourselves, with our inner feelings, with our soul. Because as a society, we have bought into this idea that any uncomfortable emotion, anytime we don't feel bright and shiny and good, that this is a sign of a mental disorder, that sadness means something is fundamentally broken within inside of us. And especially in certain corners of the internet, mostly male dominated spaces, the idea that emotions are a weakness and that they should only be used as fuel for the gym or for building a business is dangerous, to say the least. It's not sustainable to have that feeling for a very long, and it's definitely not healthy. And I want to push back against that. I want to say, with no doubt, that feeling sad is okay. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to have bad days, and it's okay to not be firing on all cylinders every single day of the week. It's okay to feel the weight of the world, and when things don't go your way, it's okay to grieve that. It's okay to feel disappointment and frustration and just not feel good in the moment. These feelings, they're not a sign of failure. They're just a normal part of being human. Just because you're feeling sad doesn't mean there's something necessarily wrong, right? There's sadness and anger and frustration and all these negative emotions. They're a part of human existence. They are as natural to us as joy and excitement. And trying to eliminate something like sadness is like trying to live without ever seeing a cloud in the sky. It's completely unrealistic, and honestly, it cuts you off from an entire range of human existence that I think can be incredibly valuable in certain circumstances. The danger is not in the feeling of being sad. The danger is becoming overwhelmed by the feeling of sad. Or worse, trying to pretend that nothing's wrong and stamping it down and internalizing it until you can no longer bottle it up and it bursts forth in an uncontrollable rage, which is dangerous, obviously. So the question isn't, how do I never feel sad? The question is, how do I feel sad without letting it consume me? How do I allow myself this very human emotion without getting stuck in it? For me, and for many others, the answer lies in small, intentional acts of self love and mindful presence, even when life is difficult, especially when life is difficult. The one thing that I started with that has helped me immensely is journaling, actually. Putting my thoughts onto a piece of paper so that they're no longer swirling around in my head can really help me sort of crystallize it into a way that I can actually understand. If I can write it down on a piece of paper, it is now out of my head. I can name it, I can define it, and I can put a nice little box around it. And I can look at it and recognize it for what it is. And just the simple fact of getting it out of my head lets me no longer ruminate on it. And I do feel better simply just by writing it down. And it doesn't have to be like this huge essay of like 45 minutes every single morning while you're in like a cold plunge or doing your sauna or whatever. Just a 5-minute practice of, how do I feel right now? Just write it down. That's it. That's all you really need to do to start out with. And if you find value in that, then explore other ways to journal and other ways to get your thoughts and your feelings out on a piece of paper. Another really powerful tool is the idea of perspective, actually. So if you think about emotions as weather, right? The storm rolls in and it's intense and it can be very, very scary. But all storms pass. They don't last forever. Reminding yourself that sadness, like any emotion, is temporary. That can be incredibly grounding when you feel like you're never going to feel happy again. It's also where self-compassion comes in, because being kind to yourself when you're feeling low, instead of beating yourself up about it, is something that you need to do in order to get over this feeling in a much faster and healthier way. Like, you wouldn't yell at your friend for being sad, would you? So why would you do it to yourself? You have to extend that same level of kindness that you would to your friend to your own inner voice, to yourself. Meditation is also really good if you're into that sort of new age hippie woo-woo stuff. It's really not, but being just a few minutes of focusing on your breath allows you to get out of whatever thought loop that you are in, right? Or just like listening to a guided meditation on YouTube and focusing on self-compassion, focusing on your body, your physical feeling, not just your emotional feeling, can really help you observe how you feel without getting swept up by the patterns of your brain. It's about creating this little tiny bit of space between you and your emotions that lets you observe it from a distance and keeps you from being too stuck in the weeds, essentially. And the last thing that you can do, and this is something that you kind of have to be careful not to overdo, is to share, is to talk about it, is to share how you feel with someone you trust, It can be a friend, family member, hell, even a therapist. Because I do think therapy is a good idea. Really do think that for most people. Just putting words to how you feel and having someone listen to you can really help you feel so much less alone. Especially if you're going through something difficult with someone else, sharing that sadness with that person can actually create a deeper connection with the person you're sharing the difficulty with. And who doesn't want that? In a world that tells you to just be positive or just push through it, it is a radical act of self-care to give yourself permission to feel, to be human, and to have the whole range of human emotions, not just the easy or productive ones, or the ones that we would always like to have. Because you are not a machine. You are not just here to produce and to perform. You are a human being, and you're allowed to be a human being. In all of its messy, beautiful, and sometimes painful aspects. Don't feel guilty for being sad. Don't demonize it either. Instead, learn how to be with it, how to move through it, and how to let it teach you something. The goal is not to never feel these things. It is learn how to react when you do. Because they will come. You will feel these things. And if you are prepared for them, then they will not overwhelm you. And if you're feeling it today, it's okay. That is all right. You aren't alone. A lot of people out there are feeling the exact same way you are right now. And you do have permission to feel, to rest, and to have a bad day. But sometimes resting and just existing is the most productive thing you can do for your soul. Take a breath, be kind to yourself, because you're human. And you're allowed to feel the full range of human emotions. That's about it. Thank you for joining me today. I hope to see you next Sunday. If you really like what I did here, leave a like on the video, subscribe if you want. If you want to join for next Sunday, you can go to morninghaven.co, link in the description, buy yourself a mug, get some coffee. Join me for next week, whatever I talk about. Have a good day.